And a very good morning to everybody out there. It's Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're in the sports wagering zone, and thank you very much for listening, by the way. You're listening to us live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, also podcasting on most of your podcast platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're also on Blackjack TV, as well as being on the milehighradio.com as well. So anyway, a lot to talk about today. It's Saturday, the beginning of the weekend, as they say. Some news coming out about the NFL. We'll go into that with Aaron Rodgers. And also, of course, we're going to talk some baseball. We got a couple of games to talk about today. 3 games, in fact. We got the Arizona Diamondbacks against the Cubs, the Yankees against the Red Sox, and, of course, the White Sox against the Brewers. Those are the 3 games we're going to take a close look at, take a look at the line movement in those games, and also give you an idea as to which direction the pros are going in those games as well. We're also going to run down a little bit of our winning and losing streaks. One of the teams finally came to an end yesterday, but there's still opportunity to bet on that in what we call the swagger theory. So we'll go into that as well. But to begin with, as always, we start out by letting you know what happened yesterday as far as betting was concerned, especially in Major League Baseball. The favorites, well, they went 10-4 yesterday. The Angels and the Twins closed as a pick'em, and of course, may not be a pick'em in whatever area you happen to be living in, but as far as Vegas was concerned, they were a pick'em. The biggest upsets, the Rockies once again came through plus 240 on the money line against the Dodgers, and the Pirates a plus 170 against the Giants. The 2 big heavyweights out on the West Coast got beat last night and beat soundly. The favorites now lead 58.5 with 43 games closing as a pick'em so far this year. And once again, we're talking Vegas numbers as well. The unders went 8-7, but the overs, they still have that slim lead at 50.7%. So that's the story as far as betting yesterday was concerned in Major League Baseball. And now let's turn to the NFL for a minute, because now we've seen some major shifts in the Packers futures betting because of what happened and some of the rumors that are starting to come out. So the question now becomes, does Vegas really know what is going to be going on? Because the biggest storyline of the NFL season has been whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to come back to the Green Bay Packers. We all know that. Now, could he go to the Broncos? Or could he demand to trade somewhere else? Or what if he just holds out and hosts Jeopardy instead of playing football? Of course, no one really knows how this story is going to play out, except maybe Mr. Rodgers, and he may not even be sure at this point in time as well. But yesterday, we saw the sports books get ready for another possible outcome, and they're talking about retirement. According to Vegas and the sports books, the thought seems to be retirement may very well be the number one idea that's going to happen. So rumors are really going around that Rodgers could walk away from the game, announce his retirement sometime early next week before training camp begins, of course. And of course, right on cue, a lot of the sports books pulled all of their Packers-related futures off the board, including win totals, playoff odds, and divisional odds as well. While most of the shops took the Packers win total down, Circa kept their numbers up, but they did adjust the win total from 11 to 8.5. Circa also has updated alternate win totals of the Packers 9.5, with the under juiced up to minus 195. Of course, it's all speculation on Rodgers, okay? They don't want to be the guys caught with great information hit him first, so they're going on and on. Now, the biggest beneficiary of the Rodgers news are the Vikings. Circa moved the Vikings to a plus 125 favorite to win the NFC North, followed by the Packers at plus 195, Bears at 335, and of course the Lions at 15 and 15. So that's the story on that. We'll keep an eye on it. The plot continues to thicken. Perhaps we'll know something more next week. In the meantime, let's take that first break. We'll take that, get it out of the way. And when we come back, we're going to talk about 3 baseball games on tap for today. Going to check the line movement in those games and see which direction the pros are going. Arizona against Chicago, the Cubs that is, Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, and of course the White Sox. So we'll be back in 1 minute. Mm. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone. I'm Chris Pardo, having a little trouble with my throat this morning. A little stuffed up, or whatever you want to call it, is happening. So I'll try to do my best to try to sound well enough alone so you can kind of hear what's going on. I'm sure we'll cover all the major things we need to talk about, and then of course we'll take a break then as well. So we talked about the Aaron Rodgers situation. Changes are starting to occur in the sports books. We're going to keep an eye on them, and like I said, the plot continues to thicken, but hopefully by the end of next week everything will be pretty well settled. Meanwhile, we do have 3 baseball games on tap for today. This afternoon around 2:30, 2:20, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Chicago Cubs in Chicago. The Diamondbacks are 30 and 69 so far. The Cubs are at 48 and 50. The Cubs, well, they took care of business yesterday. They beat the Diamondbacks 8-3. They were minus 130 home favorites on the money line in that game. Now, meanwhile, in this afternoon's game, Arizona starts their right-hander, Merrill Kelly. He's 6-7 with a 4.46 ERA. And the Cubbies, they come back with their right-hander, Alec Mills. He's 4-3 with a 4.64 ERA. Now, as we look at the line on this game, it opened with the Cubs, a minus 137 home favorite. The Diamondbacks, a plus 126 road dog. Now, the pros are riding the Cubbies at home. So we've seen Chicago get steamed up from minus 137 all the way up to minus 150 on the money line. Now, keep this in mind. Non-division home favorites that come off of a win are at 63% so far this season. Now, non-division favorites with at least 10 cents of steam, and there's more than that in their direction, are at almost 63% as well. The Cubs are 31-17 as a favorite. The Snakes are just 20-61 as a dog. Chicago's 29-17 at home. And remember, Arizona is one of the worst road teams in baseball. They're 11-39 on the road. The Cubs, they're 3-1 against Arizona so far this season. So in this first game, the pros are on the Cubs. Meanwhile, around 4 o'clock, The New York Yankees, once again, as disappointing as they've been so far, go out to Boston. They're out there to play the Boston Red Sox. The Yankees are 50-46, Red Sox 60-38 for the season. Now, yesterday the Red Sox took the second game. They took the first two games of their four-game set. They won that opener 5-4. They were minus 150 home favorites, and they won again last night. But there they were minus 115 home favorites. So yesterday they were kind of a bargain. Now, in today's afternoon rematch, New York hands the ball to Jameson Taillon. He's 5-4 with a 4.60 ERA, and Boston comes out with their right-hander, Nathan Eovaldi, 9-6 with a 3.49 ERA. So as we look at the line in this game, it opened with the Red Sox listed as a minus 150 home favorite, and the Yankees a plus 140 road dog. Now, the pros and the general public, they're together on this one, and why not? They're behind the red-hot Red Sox, and of course, they steamed Boston up from minus 150 to minus 165 on the line. Now, remember this, home favorites off of a win have gone almost 62% this season. Boston is 30-19 at home this season. New York, they're 23-23, 50% on the road. The Red Sox are going to lean on their bats for this one. Boston's hitting .257, which ranks them the fifth best batting team in Major League Baseball. New York is hitting at .235. They're ranked somewhere around 19th. The Red Sox have had the Yankees number this season. They've already beaten them 9 times, and they've only lost twice. So in this game, not only the pros, but everybody is on the Boston Red Sox to beat the Yankees this afternoon. Finally, this evening, around 7 o'clock, that other team in Chicago, the White Sox, they're out of town, up the road to Milwaukee to face the Brewers once again. The White Sox are 58-39. Milwaukee's 57-41. The Brewers dominated the game yesterday, 7-1, and now yesterday they were minus 127 home favorites on the money line, and as I said, they won easily. Tonight's rematch, you have a stellar pitching matchup. Chicago comes in with their lefty, Carlos Rodon. He's 8-3 with a 2.14 ERA. And Milwaukee comes back with their right-hander, Corbin Burnes. He's 5-4, but with a 2.16 ERA. So as we look at the line on this game, it opened with the Brewers, a little short minus 115 home favorite. The White Sox are plus 105 as a road dog. The public sees two good teams, two really great pitchers, and they don't know which way to go. This is a conundrum right there. We have two good teams playing against each other, and they got their two best pitchers going against each other. Here's where the public kind of starts going 50-50. However, the pros, they know what they're doing. They're leaning on the Brewers, and we've seen this line go from minus 115 to minus 125 on the money line on Milwaukee. Milwaukee has value in this game because they're a non-division home favorite coming off of a win, and of course they're at 63% so far this season. Also, interleague home favorites with the line move in their favor have gone at almost 59% this season. So Milwaukee is 40-30 as a favorite so far. Chicago is just 5-15 as a dog. Now, the pros are also leaning on a lower scoring game. After opening at 7.5 runs, smart undermoney has come in on the game and dropped that total down to 7. So in this game between the White Sox and the Brewers, more or less a toss-up type of game. You got two really good teams playing, and they're pitching two of their best pitchers. That really comes up kind of tight. You're not sure which way to go. The pros are definitely sure which way they want to go, and that's on the Milwaukee Brewers. So once again, just recapping the 3 games for today. The Arizona Diamondbacks against the Cubs. In that particular game, the pros are on the Cubs in that game. At 4 o'clock, you have the Yankees against the Red Sox. The disappointing Yankees. Boston Red Sox are kind of a surprise this year, doing much better than most people thought they would be. In this game, the pros are on the Red Sox, and why not? They've played 11 games against each other so far this season. And of course, the Red Sox have won 9 of those games, while the Yankees have only won 2. So the public and everybody on the Boston Red Sox in that particular game. And finally, the White Sox against the Brewers, like we said, 2 really good teams coming up and playing with 2 of their best pitchers. They are on fire. Milwaukee Brewers, that's who the pros are on. The Brewers over the White Sox. As far as the public is concerned, they're kind of mixed. Again, because you do have 2 good teams, 2 good pitchers. It's not that easy to kind of split them apart. So that's the story as far as those are concerned. We're going to take a final break. And when we come back, we're going to take a look and give you some numbers as to how this little system, this little method, whatever you want to call it, is going on, kind of give you an idea of some numbers. So, you might want to make a decision one way or another on some of these games coming up today. And of course, we're also going to talk about the winning and losing streaks. And we're going to talk about the swagger theory. 2 teams were up against it yesterday. 1 team that was on a winning streak lost. The team that was on the losing streak continues on. We'll talk more about that right after this break. We'll be back into the sports wagering zone in 1 minute. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live from Denver, Colorado, right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as podcasting on most of your major podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. We're on Blackjack TV on the East Coast, also at milehighradio.com as well. We're here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're also here every day, Monday through Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. So we started talking about this little system, method, whatever it is you want to call it. It's very, very simple. Little work involved because you have to follow the line movement of the games that are on tap. And then you see where there's the most line movement in which games, and more than likely that's happening because the pros are putting their money into that game and going in that direction. So all we do is kind of do the same thing. We report to you what we finally come up with, and that's the story on those. So yesterday we did have 2 plays. We had Atlanta against Philadelphia. We had Arizona against the Cubs. And in that game we had the Cubs. No problem. That was a winner. And of course we had the Angels and the Twins. And that was a loser yesterday. So altogether, so far this week, we've had 11 plays. We had 6 winners. That comes out to about a 54.5% average of wins. Now, as far as the month of June is concerned, altogether, we have had 41 plays, 22 winners, and that comes out to almost 54% as well. So you kind of get an idea as to how it's doing. Now, because baseball is a money line sport, you don't have to be at that 52.3% average when you're betting regular sports, when you're betting sports on the line, as a team being -5 points, -6 points, +5, or whatever. When you're betting those kind of games like the NFL, when you're betting college football, and you're betting NBA games, college-based basketball games, those type of games, you have to have a 52.3% average. Otherwise, you're going to be losing money at the end of the season. So the pros, they are not 100%. Nobody is. But they're pretty close to 59 to 60%, which kind of puts them into that win category. Now, they, of course, make thousands of dollars because they bet thousands of dollars, okay? If you're going to bet $50 a game, you're not going to wind up winning thousands of dollars by the end of the season, okay? Unless you happen to hit a parlay for a large amount of money. But as far as the regular day-to-day betting is concerned, you're not going to be doing that well. So the story on yesterday, like I said, we had 2 plays, 1 winner, 1 loser. Today we do have 3 plays. We're also watching the winning and losing streaks. This is something we started looking at prior to taking our 3-week break, as we call it, moving from Charlotte to Denver and getting that all straightened out finally. So we were talking about winning and losing streaks. Now, the important thing to remember about those streaks is what number you put on a losing or a winning streak. Depends what you think a winning streak is. Here at the Sports Wagering Zone, we feel that 6 is the right number to go with. So once a team hits 6, whether it's 6 losses in a row or 6 wins in a row, that becomes a streak. And that's when we start looking at it. We report it to you. And again, it's up to you to decide what it is you want to do. So yesterday, we had 2 teams in that category. We had the Texas Rangers, and of course, we also had the Detroit Tigers. The Rangers were on a 9-game losing streak, and they wound up losing, so they are now on a 10-game losing streak. They played Houston. They're going to be playing Houston today once again. And also Detroit against Kansas City. Detroit was on a 7-game winning streak. They lost yesterday, so now they are on a direction the opposite of winning, and now they fall into a category called the swagger theory. And the swagger theory basically says once a team comes off a winning streak and loses, the probability of them losing another game is very, very high. Conversely, if a team is coming off of a losing streak on to a winning streak, the odds of them winning their second game increases as well. Now, this is historical data that's been put together, so it's not 100%. It doesn't happen that way all the time. So if you're looking for a side bet, something else to bet on, you could either bet on Texas to continue on to an 11-game losing streak, or perhaps maybe you think they're going to finally cut it short and win today against Houston. Or you have the Detroit-Kansas City game, Detroit coming off of a winning streak, and they're, of course, in that swagger theory situation in that game as well. So that's the story as far as winning and losing streaks are concerned. We kind of let you know how this little method that we use, following the lines and seeing in which direction the pros are going, that's the situation there. So let's once again just recap 3 games we have on tap for today, give you an idea as to the line movement in those games and how the pros are going in them as well. So the afternoon game, somewhere around 2:30, 2:15, you got the Arizona Diamondbacks against the Chicago Cubs. And in that particular game, the pros are on the Chicago Cubs in that game. Around 4 o'clock, You got the New York Yankees up in Boston playing the Red Sox. Everyone, not only the pros, but the general public are really high on the Red Sox winning this game. Like I said, they've played 11 times against each other. 9 of those games were won by the Red Sox. 2 were won by the Yankees. Meanwhile, the White Sox against the Brewers, like we said, you have 2 really good teams with great records, and they're pitching some of their better pitchers against each other today. So as far as the public is concerned, they're kind of unsure as to which direction they want to go on that. But of course, as always, the pros, they know what they're doing, so they're going to come on, and they come on with the Brewers for this particular game. And of course, they're also heavily on the under in this game as well. The under total, the number of runs being scored. So that's the story for today. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. We found out that some of the sports books have now taken the Green Bay Packers over underline off the futures market. There's still 1 or 2 situations out there that are holding on, but what they're doing is either dropping their number, or they're raising the juice on them to kind of make up for any deficit that they may have. You have to understand, whenever anything is going on, they make the final call, and then you come on whether you want to go one way or the other. So that's the story with those. We gave you the 3 games for today. And of course, that's the story as far as today is concerned. So I want to thank you very much for listening. It is Saturday. We're here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Monday through Friday, we're here at noon Eastern Time. So have a very, very pleasant Saturday. Have a great weekend. I hope there's great weather in your area. I'm going to be heading out today to watch my grandson play in a baseball tournament that's going on in this area. I hope he does very well as well. And of course, like I say, I hope you have a great weekend. And if you're going to be betting, I certainly hope you have a profitable weekend as well. So we'll be back again tomorrow, right here at the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as on most of your major podcast platforms as well. So until tomorrow, like I said, have a great day. Have a great weekend. If you're betting, have a profitable weekend as well. Keep an eye on those Green Bay Packers. If you're already in on the underside, hey, you may be a winner this season. You never know. Maybe we'll know more about it next week. We'll see what happens when camp opens up. So until tomorrow, once again at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm Chris Pardo. Thanks for listening, and have a great weekend, and have a profitable weekend as well. Goodbye, everybody.